on Royal Television with me, Sonita Ngunya, and equally we are going to be talking about a whole lot of sporting activities that are happening in and out of Cameroon. And mind you that in terms of the African Football League, as of now, we don't have any Cameroon representative in this particular competition. But as the competition, why not, goes on, maybe Cameroon equally is going to find ways to be able to feed themselves in such a competition. And equally, these and more are the stories that we are going to be looking at when we come back after the break. Once more, good evening and welcome to Sport Box on Royal Television. With me, Sonita Ngunya. Just like I told you, we have the Basketball African League that has already started. We have the likes of the RSB Tigers of Rwanda that are leading the classification table, closely followed by the likes of the Pedro of Rwanda from Angola. And mind you, we are going to be bringing to you developments of this particular African Basketball League. And equally to tell you that in terms of the MTN Elite One Championship, the first phase, in terms of match day 13, about 20 goals were recorded for this particular last playing days in Garwa, Limbe, the likes of Douala equally, where we had the MTN Elite One Championship. Not forgetting the West Region equally, where we had teams battle for why not grabbing the last points of the season. And equally to tell you that those who are already on the red zone are preparing to why not make a shift out of it, as they are going to be coming back for the return leg. And a big surprise equally was from Stade Renard. Mind you, this particular team played a total of 13 games, let me say 12, but were not able to get a win. And on match day 13, which was the last playing day for the first phase, they got at least a one win. And equally, mind you that management had changed, where we had the likes of Ndubebo, so equally, who came in to correct some of the mistakes that were happening within the squad. And we are hoping that maybe coming the second phase of the competition, the narratives with Stade Renard is going to be different. And equally, before we get to talk about the MTN Elite 1 and 2 Championship, a reminder that, mind you, last week, that was on Friday before we parted ways, we spoke to you about the various fixtures of the MTN Elite 1 and 2, not forgetting the Guinness Super League, and why not the Southwest and the Northwest Regional League. And equally, for my viewers equally who had predicted that particular game, we had the likes of Kumba City Football Club that was able to pick up a point from Bafba United over there at the Bamenda Proximity Stadium. We equally want to say congratulations to the boys of Bambot who did it in a great joy. Rather than coming out or losing all 3 points, they were able to at least grab one, which takes them to 16 points, sitting second in terms of the classification table for Pool B of the MTN Elite 2 Championship. And now let's start with what is happening with the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. Mind you, 52 years is not 52 days. And this particular Leopards of Africa have picked up a qualification ticket to the 2026 FIFA World Cup, where the clash against Jamaica, beating Jamaica 1-0 to be able to seal the 10th spot for the African continent. And mind you, the grandeur in which the players were actually received, it's something to admire and something to talk about. We're talking about the arrival of the Democratic Republic of Congo players back at home. I tell you, it is as if this particular nation had already won the 2026 FIFA World Cup that is going to be hosted by Morocco, Canada, and the likes of Mexico. I take you to Democratic Republic of Congo for you to have what it meant for this particular nation, that the last time they had participated in such a competition, it was 52 years ago. Take you to the streets of Democratic Republic of Congo to see how the population welcome their players. Many will ask themselves, the Democratic Republic of Congo win the FIFA World Cup? No. But I tell you, that is what it means to qualify to such a competition by a team who lastly participated in this particular competition 52 years ago. And you ask yourself if they won the 2025 African Cup of Nations. No. Mind you, same scenario was portrayed like that in Senegal when they defeated Morocco over there in Morocco in terms of the 2025 African Cup of Nations. But to Democratic Republic of Congo, that qualification ticket means a lot. I mean, these people have been hungry for such a qualifier, and they got it at the right time. Remember, they didn't just make Democratic Republic of Congo proud, but equally the entire African continent. And mind you, this is going to be the first time that Africa is going to have 10 tickets in the World Cup. It has never happened. This is the first time. I want to say congratulations and equally a big thank you to Democratic Republic of Congo. And our fingers are crossed to see what our African representatives are going to be doing in Mexico, Canada, and the likes of America. Mind you, we are 70 days, less than 70 days to this particular prestigious competition that is coming up in the months ahead. And equally, away from Democratic Republic of Congo's celebration and welcoming the players back home, let's talk about what transpired at the Ngeme Sports Stadium between Victoria United and the likes of Canon Sportive of Yaoundé. Mind you, we're talking about 4 times champions of the MTN Elite One Championship. And why not a household name in terms of continental football, Canon Sportive of Yaoundé. I take you to the Ngeme Sports Stadium. When we come back, we'll talk about what transpired there. This was the atmosphere after 90 minutes of play at the Ngeme Sports Stadium on Sunday. The battle for supremacy between 4-time champion Canon Sportive of Yaoundé and 1-time cup holder Victoria United. The intense game saw the visitors scored but was ruled offside by the assistant referee, maintaining the game on a 0-0 tie at halftime. The second segment saw a more hungry Canon who unleashed her strength to get a curtain raiser despite being 1 man down. With another red card shown to Nathan Douala after 2 yellow cards, Canon played 9 against 11 with no guards to let off, the fighting another goal to increase the tally to 2-0.
Donc c'est au niveau de la mentalité qu'on devait gagner le match. Parce que jouer à l'Inde, c'est très difficile. On a constaté que Victoria prend pratiquement tous ses points à domicile. attention, c'est une très très bonne équipe. Elle joue bien au ballon, même si quelquefois elle commet des erreurs de jeune équipe, parce que c'est une équipe qui est très jeune. Mais il faut savoir qu'à domicile, c'est pas facile de jouer le club. Donc il fallait beaucoup travailler sur l'esprit, sur le mental et la saine agressivité. Il fallait vraiment être costaud aujourd'hui. Et malheureusement pour nous, on prend 2 cartes rouges. Mais les gamins, vous avez vu, ont mis l'esprit qu'il fallait. De toute façon, en semaine, on a travaillé et à la réunion technique, je leur ai dit, peu importe ce qui va arriver, on veut voir des gamins costauds mentalement. On a beaucoup travaillé dessus en semaine, surtout qu'on a fait un faux pas contre Gazelle. Et il était question qu'on montre quand même que, comme dit mon camarade, que nous avons 4 étoiles. Après tout, c'est le canon de Yaoundé. Donc, il fallait aussi que les joueurs soient à la hauteur du club et du maillot qu'ils portent. C'est ce qu'ils ont fait ce soir.
Victoria United will needed this win to seal a comfortable position ahead of Canon Sportif of Yaoundé, failed to immortalize the game as they lost balls and equally failed to create enough chances to get a win as they lost.
Un gros sentiment de déception. C'est qu'on s'attendait à tous les scores sur ce niveau. Nous avons rencontré une bonne équipe. Le Canon de Yaoundé était beaucoup plus agressif. Ils ont mis un bon plan de jeu qui nous a quand même persuadé de mettre les joueurs qui veulent sortir le ballon au pied. Et puis aujourd'hui, les enfants n'étaient pas dans le match. C'était difficile pour eux aujourd'hui. Donc le système, le plan de jeu que l'équipe adverse a mis en place doit être et ça fait qu'on a pu se retrouver pour essayer de retrouver la profondeur. Maintenant, on prend un but sur le rêve individuel au but de la au moment où on se demandait de contrôler le match. Malheureusement, on essaie de pousser, on a le droit, et sur le deuxième compris, Canon réussit à marquer un deuxième but. C'était tout à fait le jeu de normal. On t'a réussi à l'organiser, on a ajouté la force dedans, et c'est un compte qui s'est organisé. Donc beaucoup de déceptions. C'est une bonne équipe. C'est une bonne équipe qui a bien mis ses plans de jeu en place, qui s'est très bien organisé dans son plan de jeu. Et les gars ont appliqué le plan de jeu. Ils ont eu des joueurs qui ont accepté de courir, de faire des efforts sur le plan athlétique. Ils ont couru, ils ont beaucoup perturbé en coupant les lignes de passe dans les intervalles et comme ça. Donc forcément, ils ont mis un plan de jeu qui a marché. Nos jeunes joueurs n'ont pas pu aujourd'hui se surpasser et hausser leur niveau de jeu pour aller au-delà de la difficulté qu'on les a mis en place. Maintenant, sur 2 contre, ils ont réussi à marquer la première. Moi, je dis félicitations pour nous. Et vraiment, ça a été un bon match.
And yet, it's 90 minutes here at the Ngemomi Sports Stadium for the match day 13 of the MTN Elite One Championship between Victoria United and the likes of Canon Sportif of Yaoundé, where it was a beautiful 2 goals scored here by the visitors who were able to grab all 3 points. Mind you, this particular victory for Canon Sportif of Yaoundé was very, very important, putting in position their various points, and equally with these 3 points, Canon Sportif of Yaoundé goes right up to 19 points, while Victoria United maintain its points tally to 18. And mind you, this particular game brings us to the end of the first phase of the MTN Elite World Championship, and equally here in Nimbe. And it's been a beautiful day equally for PWG of Bamenda, the likes of Unisport equally, who has had a good ride over Dynamo Football Club of Douala. And we are only going to be bringing to you the MTN Elite World Championship as of the second phase of the competition. And I am Sonny Tanguni signing out for Royal Television here at the Lime Omisport Stadium in Geme. Unfortunately for Victoria United, it was a bad day in the office. Mind you, during the opener in terms of this particular season, they trashed PWD of Bamenda to grab all 3 points, and they were hoping that the last day of play was going to be favorable for them. But unfortunately for them, 9-man Canon Sportif of Yaoundé had to tell them that it doesn't matter, the number doesn't matter, but rather the mentality and the hunger for the victory is what that matters. And equally, they grabbed their 3 points, and because of that 3 points, they now sit in front of Victoria United with 19 points, while Victoria United remains with 18 points. And equally right away, we are going to be traveling to the Northwest region to talk with the communication officer of PWD of Bamenda, who is going to be telling us what it means for them after picking up 23 points out of a possible 39 points for the first phase of the MTN Elite One Championship. And equally, other development within the club. But let's take on this break. When we come back, we talk with Biwa Brian, the communication officer for PWD of Bamenda. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're on to Spot Box on Royal Television. And equally, like I told you before the break, we are going to be talking with the communication officer for PWD of Bamenda, no other person than Biwa Brian. Good evening to you, Brian, and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Ngoni. It's a pleasure to be there. Definitely my debut. So good to be a participant of the program. I'm hoping that by the end, definitely, the reason for which you brought me on board is going to be accomplished.
Definitely. First of all, before we have to talk deeply about PWD of Bamenda, once more, congratulations for your game yesterday.
Thank you very much.
And overall, I mean, this is 23 points out of a possible 39 for PWD in terms of the first phase of the competition. Your general appraisal so far for the team?
In as much as we are smiling to those results, I think that there are some disappointments along the way. I mean, they literally dropped points in Douala against Dinamo, a game that everyone had already seen coming their way. They picked a 2-0 lead, and then from the 76 minutes right through to about 80 minutes, they let the lead slide away, just like you catch a fish and then you let it back into the river. That's literally what happened, and then they repeated the same thing again in Yaoundé against Colombe. So, in as much as we would celebrate that position, I think that there's still a lot to cry about because they had the squad depth, they had the quality and everything to at least finish second.
And when we look at PWD of Bamenda, everybody is looking at the Bamenda Proximity Stadium to be a theatre house.
Of course, yes. It's slaughterhouse. It has always been so. Remember back in the days, even though Young Sport Academy at the Young Francis Arena in my six, it was always very difficult for any team to come there and go away with the win. The best you could ever get from there was the draw. I mean, each time Young Sport or PW were playing there, once they take the lead, what we're waiting our local palangs will just lock the door and then throw away the key. And that's literally what is happening at the Proximity Stadium. You know, they have gone for quite some seasons without playing football at home, and so this is definitely an opportunity they wouldn't want to let go. You can already see how it has boosted their performance. You can only miss the performance perhaps Young Sports would have had if they were they did one championship, but I feel like the support is real. It is driving them. I mean, not that I think I explained, because if you look at the way they have been shambolic out of home this term, the only thing that can explain how good or why they are that good at home is the fact that they have that home support. And trust me, it's so real. Perhaps you should think about coming there for one of the home fixtures. Definitely the one against Victoria United of Limbe is going to make headline.
You can say that again. And mind you, it's going to be a revenge game with the controversies that transpired at the Limbe Centenary Stadium. But nevertheless, we are going to talk about that at the end. Now, you made mention of the fact that the turnout has been massive, especially with the fact that it's a new season for PWD of Bamenda, especially with the fact that they are playing at home.
Yeah, for sure. It has been massive. It's not just about the stadium we get. For instance, you had Ice Fortuna who almost when they win.
Yeah, that's
the
true.
Previous encounter there at the proximity stadium. But it boils down to a lot of other things. I mean, the Ababa boys were literally sleepy in that game. They were not themselves, and also the fresh performance from the Ababa boys that day. So it's not like it's composure, it's something that would always happen. No. Everything that comes there and tries to pull off something good will definitely go with the win. AS Fortuna, perhaps if other teams have been keen, but notice that AS Fortuna attempted and there was a possibility. That's why they even went home with a draw. And Fortuna, they were very happy going back with that draw because somewhere they knew that they would go home with a defeat, but that draw for them was definitely a good thing. So it's not as if they are some petty things or no. It's just probably some boys, some young boys who have been playing with their home crowd and trying to impress their crowd who have been so supportive this season.
Definitely, and talking about the home crowd, mind you, the first phase has been PWD of Bamenda playing most of our games at home. And we are already envisaging the second phase, which is going to be more of the away game. So how is PWD so far preparing for such a game, especially with the fact that the teams that you defeated in the first phase are why not combating themselves to come back against you?
It's going to be hard. One thing that I like you rightly pointed, the majority of their their games in this second phase are going to be away fixtures, but not entirely. Not as compared to a team like Unifor.
Yeah, that's true.
Unifor, I think that they have
it's
the
8,
games.
if I'm not making a mistake, 8 on 13.
Sorry?
They played 8 games at home out of possible 13 games.
Yes. Which means that the technical department and the entire staff have to see into how they approach their away fixtures, because just like you said, it's going to be a difficult one. Among those away fixtures is an away game to both Gazelle and Potong Sports, who dropped all the 3 points at the proximity stadium. I mean, way up north is going to be something very difficult, and then other away fixtures, but teams that got it are going to play away fixtures that are going to play the return leg side from the case in point is Colomb, Canon, Victoria United. Now those are the teams, because I'm looking at the margins. I'm looking at the teams who are progressing as the first round was falling through to an end. These are the demonstrating opponents, and for them to play these guys at home, I think that's going to be a bonus to them. But rest assured that the technical team, they have already seen the flaws of the team, particularly when they are playing away from home. You see, one of them being the traveling fatigue and all those. You get the teams usually do not have the capacity to perhaps leave their city to an away city and then rest for maybe 2 days or a full day before going for a game. Most of them come on match days, or if they have tried, they'll come a little bit in the morning and then sleep and then go for the game at midday or probably towards the evening. So I think that the management is going to look into that heading into this second round, and then see how to go about it. Because if their ambition is to win the league, of course they need to find a way to get wins away from home.
And definitely 2 seasons or more so, we had the likes of Victoria United with one of the teams who have sold a lot of their jersey. And this time around 2026, it is PWD of Bamenda. What is the strategy?
I think that the very first strategy was the design. If you would want to rank those teams with the best jerseys in the league, you would definitely put them in the bracket of top 3. That was the very first thing. Now the next thing is the performance, because once the performance is coming, a lot of guys want to identify as fans of the team. Nobody wants to identify as a fan to a particular team that is not getting the results. So that is one of the things, because you recall that at the early half of the season, towards the first 5 match days, their first game was a defeat to Victoria United. The second game was a 4-1 win against Renato of Melon. It got a lot of steals. The next was a 2-0 win, I think, against I cannot really get, but then Gazelle follows suit, and then Potong Sports. So that is it. That first month was the magical month, and I can tell you exclusively here that those sales were better off during the first month. That is the league resumed in January.
Okay.
The sales were more gloomy around early February when they had those good results. Now, when those draws started coming in, like when they started getting those draws, that very first defeat that they got against the Unit Sports of Palm, your next one that was against the Canon of Yaoundé, Colombe. Now, all those ones drastically dropped the margin, and the sales were not as they were before. But I can tell you that the sales have been put up until now, and sooner or later we're going to come up with the new figures that we've made through this first phase.
Definitely. You being the communication officer of PWG of Bamenda means that you equally have your eyes on the classification table. We talk about a new name in terms of the first phase, and that is Unisport of Wunka. A surprise to many. Does it equally occur to you?
For sure, yes. That's a very big surprise, especially when you want to look at how they got that attention into the League One Championship. You recall that during the playoffs of last term, we had Unisport and Eglo of Menua. Now, those teams were always storied for the wrong reasons. Like, majority of the narratives were they were being favored by the referees and so on. So they've come up, they did a lot of recruitment, brought in Laurent Jean, who is someone we also in the championship, and he's definitely making the magic. And one magic too that is working for Unisport is that home advantage. I mean, you dare not go to unit to Kafang to play and then come out with a point. Then you are definitely a magician, because especially when you program the games, you notice that since the league started, not all teams have been trained enough to have their games played at about 6 p.m. 6 p.m. is when everybody has come back from work. And so when you program a game there at Bafang 6 p.m. is something else. Bafang at night is something else. I mean, Unisport beat PWD at night. They beat Colombe Sportif at night. They beat Gazelle at night. So this is so for them too. It is those home victories have counted a lot. It has added so much to their corridor of victories, and not forgetting the fact that they equally have too many great players. You may not necessarily want to put them in the bracket of average players. I mean, I know a couple of them who are so good. And yes, there is a surprise package, but if you ask my honest opinion, I feel like it's what we always say in our local parlance, not to keep colors, the ever sharper money.
So are you telling us that the second phase, they might not even feature among the first 5?
For sure. With my experience over the years in the League One Championship, the second phase is always one of the most difficult parts. I mean, in the first phase, teams always try to rack up about 5 wins and so on, but then the real battles always start in the second half. I mean, if we go back to the year when we had the playoffs in Douala, where Young Sport actually was struggling to be champions, I recall that Young Sport finished the first phase at the tail end of the classification table, but somehow in the second phase they were able to get enough points to qualify for the playoffs. It was the same thing to for Eglo. Eglo did the same thing, and they almost qualified for the playoffs. Victoria United too, it is the same thing. They had a better performance during the second round, and that is what took them to the playoffs, and eventually they won the league. So the championship is usually about the second round. It is always more about the second round than the first round, and all those who have mastered how to manage their outings in the second round are definitely going to be the ones to come out on top.
And definitely talking about the second round, what should we be expecting from the Abakwa boys?
It's difficult to say, because you would put them in the bracket of the youngest squads. I mean, the team with the youngest players in the league. After looking at the likes of Gazelle, Victoria United, you would bring in the Abakwa boys. They do not necessarily have that experience, and that experience usually is what wins those games in the second round. See, the second round is more of boom, 3 points football. It is nothing about those
quality.
Give me, I give you. No. So it is about scoring the goals out in those 3 points, and I don't know myself. I am on the edge. I'm waiting to see what those guys are going to bring on the table.
And definitely, before we take leave of you, I know that it's your team, which means that definitely you have about 80% of statistics of your players. But now, looking at this new squad, with the fact that you had a lot of signings this year, can you talk about some particular players that have actually been improving so far after 13 playing days?
Yes, at the forefront, you would bring in Donry Fielding, who joined from Young Sport Academy. It's been 13 games. He hasn't had the luxury of playing the complete 13 games or playing full matches, but then he already counts 4 goals and 5 assists, almost similar to the numbers he had when he was still the Yellow Submarines last term. You equally not forget Talikun Banta Elu to join for my Sosa Football Club of Linde, the Southwest. He has been one of the best. I think the coach always refers to him as the joker of the team. Always introduces him during the second half to bring magic. I mean, you could see the goal he scored in Douala. And that goal definitely should be going for contention to compete for the goal of the season. The top up header. Aside from him, we probably look at other players who like Tesh Bengono, who probably had a stint with my Sosa Football Club of Limbe in the past before going to start Renard of Melong and eventually to the regional league before coming to join the Ababa Boys. Those three in addition to the vice captain Gimba Junior, who got a great the base of Fabrice and other. So it's just a bunch of talented players, even though the bad thing is that their numbers are not really there to back how good they are, because if you look at a player like Elwood, the work rate he puts in, but he doesn't really have the numbers to back him up, even though the numbers are coming gradually. Recall he played his debut game in the Elite One Championship against Victoria United of Limbe, scored 2 goals. That was supposed to be history, but those goals were chalked off for offside and so on. So it's really a young sport of very talented players. But like I said, if you want to bring in those who have the most influence, then in terms of hierarchy, in Don Fielding should be at the forefront. You should have Talikon Banta, Elwood, and Days of Fabrice, Gimba Junior, Stetson Beneneke, and all those.
And definitely, you talk about numbers backing players. Now, when we look at the Golden Boot race, we have just players with 6 goals scored. We have the likes of Amanku, Sales Daroa, who have 6. But now, when we look at previous season, at this time, we are talking about players with up to 12, 10 goals. Can we say there is a big drop in terms of goals this year?
Not really, even though the numbers may want to put it that way. Now, one thing we should know too is that in as much as we already start contest or we start projecting the fact that it is still early to start projecting who are early favorites, be it in lifting a title, be it in winning the Golden Boot, be it in being this and so on. It is very, very, very early for those guys contesting for the Golden Boot. Now, if you look at those at the forefront, we have the Fortune Blades, we have Jules, Amanko, and all that. Which teams do they play for? The Fortune Blades plays for Egro Royal of Menma, and Egro Royal of Menma, in my opinion, will not help him to contest for the Golden Boot. It is the same thing. The Fortune Blades last time he played with PWC. He has always been in the bracket or in the conversation for the Golden Boot, but then the team has not been that performant to help him get those numbers. That is a disadvantage to him. Now, Jules Amanko, yes, he may turn an opportunity this time because Dinamo is proving to be one of the teams with the best attack. It tells that I think they've scored about 20 goals this term. 13 games, yes. And they have a promising team with good players who can coach through and then give him those assists, the necessary assists to get more goals. Those are the kind of players. I think now on the list, you probably have the likes of Luka Mambide of Alonso Sportivo of Lobo. Those are the guys who stand a better chance of holding the Golden Boot. I seriously do not fancy a player like Deporcho, even though it's a guy I would like to win it, considering the fact that that was a goalkeeper who later on became a striker. And ever since he came to the Elite One Championship, he has always been in contention for the Golden Boot. But then football is not that way. It's not a thing for pity. He has to work with these numbers. And at some point, it doesn't have to be him alone. He has to be him and the entire team. Recall that if you look at all those players who are in contention for the Golden Boot, the Fortune Blades is the only guy who has those 6 goals without having scored a penalty.
Yeah, you're very correct, because when we look at Serge Daroua, I think he has about 3 or 4 penalties scored out of the 6 goals.
Exactly. Yes. The day has about 2 penalties and so on and so forth. So you notice, and Eglas had penalties this time, but then the Fortune wasn't the one who took the penalties, definitely because he was on the bench and all those kind of things.
Okay, maybe tell us your last words so that why not draw the curtains with you?
Nothing much. I'm just hoping to see the best of the championship. Recall that last edition of the championship ended in a fiasco. There were a lot of this and all those things heightened during the second phase. So I'm just hoping, I'm just wishing, the second phase is characterized by a lot of pressure. You push club president, referees, and other actors into other nasty behaviors that would fail the league. I'm just hoping that we would not have those situations. We're not going to find ourselves in those situations this time.
But a quick one, we had Bafman United against Kumba City, and despite the revengeful attitude that Bafman United wanted to do, unfortunately for them, it was Kumba City that grabbed a point from there. What can you say about that game?
Yes, for sure. Kumba City was promising. I mean, having watched that game against Bafman United, I was so impressed with how well they control themselves around with the ball. But I feel like they are still lacking in a lot of things. The squad is almost already weighing out, but it is the second round. I mean, that was the first game of the second round. After having an amazing campaign in the first round, it was normal that they would lose their cool because I think they had a break. The players had to go back to their families. They lost cohesion and all that. But I think it's going to settle. They are a good sport generally. I could pick about 3 or 4 very amazing players.
Okay, thank you very much, Abiwa Brian. It was an honor talking to you.
Pleasure is mine. Hoping to feature once more next time.
Definitely. And that was the communication officer of PWD of Bamenda, who as of now is seated within the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in terms of the classification table, in which out of the possible 39 points that they were supposed to have grabbed, they were able to get just 23. And mind you, in terms of advancement of performance in this particular first leg, PWD of Bamenda remains one of the most talked about team in terms of the MTN Elite One Championship. Is it performance? Is it goal scoring? Is it discipline? It is PWD of Bamenda. And yes, for you just joining us, we were talking to the communication officer of PWD of Bamenda to assess their first phase performance so far in the MTN Elite One Championship. And equally, I take on to you, we look at the general evaluation of the MTN Elite One Championship first phase in this particular report that was compiled to us by Kusona Claudia Voma as we listen.
The final day of the first round lived up to expectation, producing goals, upsets and crucial shifts at both ends of the table. At the summit, Unisport of Bafang confirmed their dominance with a hard-fought 2-1 victory over Dinamo of Douala, a result that sees them finish first round as league leaders with 29 points. Their consistency, 9 wins in 13 matches, makes them the team to beat heading into the second leg. Close behind, Cotton Sport of Garwa secured a vital 2-1 win against Gazelle Football Academy to maintain second place with 25 points, keeping the pressure firmly on the leaders. Meanwhile, PWD of Bamenda produced one of the standout performances of the day, thrashing Egle of Mongo by 4-1 to cement their position in third with 23 points. In the race for the top 5, Colombe Sportive of Nja and Lobo delivered a statement result, dismantling Fobazu Elite Club by 4 goals to 0 away from home. The emphatic win lifts them to 5th place with 20 points, reinforcing their credentials as serious contenders. Elsewhere, Panther Jinde edged Aigle de la Menua 2-1 in a tightly contested encounter, allowing them to climb into mid-table and remain within touching distance of the top half. At the lower end of the standings, the situation remains tense as AS Fortuna's narrow 1-0 defeat to Stade Rennais leaves them hovering dangerously close to the relegation zone, tied on points with Aigle de la Menua. For Aigle de Mongo, the heavy defeat to PWD compounds a difficult first round as they remain rooted at the bottom with just 7 points. As the first round concludes, the table reflects a league split into clear battles, a tight title race at the top, a congested midfield, and a fierce survivor fight at the bottom.
And yes, thank you very much, Claudia and Voma, for why not compiling an evaluation of the MTN Elite One Championship first phase that came to an end over the weekend. And equally, in terms of the evaluation, we spoke to some sports analysts on what their own take of the first phase meant to them, and equally to talk about some of the teams that were eye-catching teams in terms of the first phase to them, and those other teams that they are disappointed in terms of their performance, and especially for the household or the old brooms in this particular championship. And we are going straight away to listen to what Sonny Armstrong, a sport journalist and equally an analyst, what he had to say in terms of the first phase of the MTN Elite One evaluation. Let's take a listen.
A very good game. Canon was able to manage the game through with 9 men and win the game 2-0. Victoria United could not really come back into the game. That's a little bit unfortunate. I'm saying it's unfortunate because Victoria United plays one of the best brands of football in Elite One. They are one of the clubs that are able to string on a lot of passes, but unfortunately today it didn't work for them. Hopefully by when they prepare for the next game in Bamenda, we'll be able to work out for them. It's a good one already. When you look at the league, the top of the table just got its promotion from Elite 2 to Elite 1. That's Unisport of Bafang, and they are going in as honorary champions. They are the surprise package this year. I don't think any person in the league expected Unisport to be where they are now. Apart from Unisport, I think Cotton Sport, with their struggles, people thought that they would be down, but they have kept themselves up. The other teams have been trying to keep up with them, like Gazelle, like Dynamo. But I think the 2 surprise packages this season so far are Unisport, and I know Cotton Sport has been winning the league, but we expected them to struggle, and they are not really struggling as we expected them. It's football. Their expectations at the beginning of the season, and as the season unfolds, there are so many other things that could go on. Injuries, players, there could be stubbornness, and players could be set aside. But it's a very competitive league this season. We have averagely 1 goal every 40 minutes in the championship. That's about 2 goals per match. So it's difficult for everyone, because when you really look at the margins from the first up to the fifth, it's a very difficult one. So far the disappointments are down. They have not been able to deliver. That's why they are bottom of the table. Also, Aigle de la Menua, when they were coming in their first game of the season against Unisport, everyone thought that because of their recruitment that they got for the CAF Confederations Cup, they'll be coming in with a lot of power. But it has not been able to work for them. And one of the 5 managerial casualties that we had in this first phase of the championship has been with Aigle de la Menua. I'm expecting that so many teams will wake up. We've seen a team like Colombe who do not start very well, but they have been able to win 2 straight games, which shows they are coming back into the championship. So during the second phase, I think they'll have a better second phase than they had in the first phase. But I also think that the team that are at the top of the table will want to maintain themselves, like Unisport, like Cotton Sport, like Gazelle, like Dynamo, like even Victoria United. Hopefully that during this 10-12 days of rest that they will have, they might open the transfer window, and teams will be able to get new players, because some of the teams really need some particular players in particular positions to survive. It's normal. It's a league championship. If you want to win your games, you have to win your home games. If you want to win in the championship, you have to win your home games, because it's very difficult to play away. The first is that fans do not really travel, so you don't have your fans. Immediately you have your fans with you, it is primordial for you to win the games.
Yes, that was Sonny Armstrong talking to us about what he thinks of the first phase of the MTN Elite One Championship. And away from Armstrong, let's take a listen to Lawrence Kinde, another fine sports analyst and editor of My Soccer 24, and a big name in the sporting domain here in Cameroon. Let's take a listen to what Kinde Lawrence had to say after the first phase of the MTN Elite One Championship.
Well, I think Canon really came in here to get the 3 points. Victoria was less flamboyant than what we generally saw. Maybe the fact that the kids are already tired as we are getting halfway into the championship. Canon was much more determined. They played with counter-offensive play, given that Victoria was putting up the upside trap. And finally, Canon passed through that and got those 2 goals. And after those goals, Canon, with the experience they have and the players, they do have the Belos, then don't go Fues. It was easier for Canon to manage that game with Dande in the goalpost. Playing 9 against 11, they succeeded in concluding the game and going away with the precious 3 points merited indeed. Well, I think for PWD there is that popular support behind the team, and football back in Bamenda after so many years. It has brought fans back into the stadium and motivated the players, with a new rule of Feka Food, where when you host games, the ticketing money from the ticketing belongs to the home team at least 70 or 80%. It has galvanized the team that generates resources from ticketing, and equally from the sales of jerseys. I believe that PWD is one of the top teams that have sold jerseys so far this season, more than 1,000 jerseys sold. So I think with all that pressure, home pressure, opponents, when they come in there, the first thing is that they are looking either for a draw or for a minimum results. And PWD has that the Bamenda Proximity Stadium, and invincible ground where it's difficult to beat them. I think only 1 or 2 clubs have succeeded in getting a draw. Everybody that comes there, you have been trashed and you go home. And I think that's the reputation they have gotten from that stadium. And winning games from at home assures you to have the necessary points to stay in the first part of the championship. Well, I think Gazelle of Garwa, for me, it's incredible what those kids can do with the ball, be it at home or away from home. They have been very performant. Serge Dora, the Ballon d'Or, who wasn't in Cameroon at the kickoff of the championship doing some tests in Egypt, came back in Cameroon in just 2 playing games. He scored 2 goals, and today he's at 5 goals. Even though they lost to Cotton Sports of Garwa, but they have really been consistent home and away. Equally, we could talk of Unisport of Onkam leading the table. I mean, it's true that they play 8 out of the 13 games at home, winning 5, having 2 draws and 1 defeat at home. Their games are generally played at 6 p.m. and some players have not yet adapted to playing in the night. They have been very performant. I mean, with the arrival of coach Laurent Jam, who has won several championships and cups of Cameroon, he has the experience, and they brought in experienced players in the likes of Serge Andulo, former player of Cotton Sports, in the likes of Junior Standby, who was a few years ago the best goal scorer of the championship. So that experience mixed with the bunch of local players they have, it has really made them very, very strong, playing most of their games at home and maximizing their points at home. But in the return leg, it might generally a different story, because when you have age players who have experience, they cannot sustain the same rhythm So things might possibly change when we get to the return leg. Third Rena changed a lot of things. I mean, even at the level of the players, we have practically almost 50% of the players who are new coming in, which changing even their coach because things didn't go out well. They had a good number of draw games at home, and it's a team that's still trying to find its way in the championship. But these are teams that might possibly bounce back in their return phase with Coach Sango Emmanuel Dubebo so making his comeback in the coaching job. I believe they are going to be a first, second week in the.
And yes, I just like Armstrong, Lawrence Kinde equally is, so for the fact that a lot is going to happen in terms of the last phase of the competition. And equally to rate with the fact that teams like Cotton Sport of Garwa, Gazelle, Club Sportif of Nja and Lobo, mind you, title holders, and the likes of Canon Sportif of Yaoundé will struggle to make sure that they come back into the competition, especially with the fact that they need points and equally fight for maintenance to remain in the MTN 81 Championship. And yet it's on this particular note of what some journalists and analysts had to say in terms of the evolution of the MTN Elite One Championship that we are going to draw the curtains for today. So, but before we go, the Elite One Championship is going to resume on the 18th of April 2026. And equally to remind you that the MTN Elite 2 Championship resumed last weekend, where we had our lone flag bearer in this particular competition, that is Kumba City Football Club, who traveled to Bamenda, where they clashed against Bafman United, and that game ended in a 1-1 draw, putting Kumba City at the second position ahead of Avion Football Academy with 16 points. Both teams have a total of 16 points, but just points different is creating that particular disparity. And we are hoping that as the matches are coming to an end, maybe Kumba City Football Club will qualify for, why not, the playoffs up to be able to contest for another Elite One ticket for the Southwest Regional, the Southwest region in total. Just because as of now we have just Victoria United that is participating in Division 1 for the Southwest region. And with this particular reminder of the date of the Elite One Championship, which is the 18th of April 2026, it's at this juncture that we are going to draw the curtains of today's program on Royal Television. But before I go, I want to say a million thanks to Isa and crew for making sure that you heard us live, and why not saw the beautiful face for the program, and equally general supervision from Alhaji Buba Sali, and for presentation I am and will always be Sonny Tanguni. See you on Friday for another edition of Sport Box with this particular face. Do have a lovely evening, and equally to remind you that news will be in a jiffy for you.